Hello everyone, this is Lynn with Psychic Focus at psychicfocus.blogspot.com, and today I thought it would be fun to do a follow-up reading on Elvis. I did a reading a few months ago and I received some additional emails and there were a few questions on the blog, so I thought, hey, why not today? So we'll explore a little more on Elvis here. So the question that I pulled, it says, "Hi Lynn, I noticed your reading on Elvis in June of 2018, and I'll also include a link to that at the bottom of this reading just for your reference in case you want to go back and review that reading." It says, "I too have been reading the Facebook page that declares that Elvis is still alive, and I'd have to agree. More interestingly, on that page, the moderator, whoever this is, has declared that Elvis was one of 3 triplets. They go on to say that there's photos on the page that make it easy to believe only baby Elvis stayed with his parents. The 2 remaining babies were given away due to their poor financial situation. Some years later, it seems a 4th son was born and also given away. These boys grew up to know each other. They looked so alike that when Elvis was under the pump with his concerts, some brothers would do some filling in for him. The 4th brother, Franklin, was the absolute image of Elvis, and he had bone cancer." Says, "If you could open this Facebook page, you'll see the 3 triplets to the right," which I put a picture of that on the blog, and I'm going to throw one up on the video too so you guys can judge for yourself. Elvis is in the middle, and he has blue eyes, and the other 2 triplets, they have brown eyes. Then there was another link given to see Franklin, the 4th brother, and he had brown eyes, which they couldn't be seen too well, but you can see he looks a lot like Elvis, and I'll throw that up on the video as well. So you guys can have a look at that and see what you think and make your own comparisons. The question still goes on to say, what's the life path of these boys? Can you see why this had to play out the way that it did? Cheers. So I took all this in and I did look at the pictures because I wanted to tune into this and see how I felt after I looked at the pictures. And I did get that Elvis was a triplet. All the boys, even the younger boys, they looked to be talented. The interesting thing is Elvis, he was the one that actually did something with it, partly because his parents had one child that they could devote and put everything into. So as Elvis explored it or had an interest, he had the resources made available. Maybe not always easy, maybe not always readily available, but nonetheless, he was the one that really pursued it and made something of it. But don't take that away from the other brothers because they were just as talented too. But Elvis was the one that took that and really took it to the next level. And I got that, there was a lot of pressure and there was a lot of stress, and that's what led Elvis into his life of drugs. It was almost one of those things where when you make so much money for some people and you have access to anything that you want, it can be hard to say no. And that was the path that Elvis went down. And because of all the stress and he self-medicated, it just one thing turned into another and it became a real problem for him. It was a real health issue. And the brothers, they did pull together and help him. Sometimes when he was burnt out, sometimes because of drug issues. It could have been a health thing. But they would step in from time to time to alleviate his stress. Plus, they liked to perform. They were a little frustrated they had to do it under the name of Elvis, but they still got to go out and they enjoyed the audience and they enjoyed doing things. And I even saw an image when I did this reading. I saw one of the brothers, they were putting like padding on their body that they could wear into the jumpsuits so they could look more so like Elvis. And it came to me too that one of the brothers had thinning hair and he would at times wear a wig to mask that so he could blend in and really pull it off and pass for Elvis. And I remember when I did the reading before, there was a theory that there was a brother out there or a relative out there that actually died from cancer and that he was the one that took Elvis's spot at the funeral, and that's how the death was able to get faked. So this question made me, I guess, snap back to that and consider it and reevaluate what did I see when I saw that image of a funeral. And I still see that the casket was empty. And I get that Franklin, he did pass away from cancer, but that was like an aha moment. That was wow, I need to take life serious. You know, you see how fragile life is. You go from this rich and access to women, money, drugs, anything that you could ever want, but you only have one health. You only have one body. You destroy that and you don't have anything. So it was almost like that was an awakening moment for him. I don't see that Franklin took his spot in the funeral, but I do see that Franklin was very powerful and instrumental in getting Elvis to want to straighten up his life. And he was the one that gave Elvis the idea to fake a funeral so he could get it and easily walk away out of the public eye without scrutiny, without just all the other stuff. He needed a fresh start, and he needed to just get away from all this. And the question at the top, when I was reading, it touched on the life path and what was the life path of these boys? Like, why did this have to play out the way that it did? That, you know, it was great that they all came together and that they all were involved in each other's lives, but why did that dynamic have to be the way that it was? And I get that these life paths were so interdependent on each other. And you have to think too that, you know, some people come and go into your life and you're the one giving the lesson. Sometimes they're the one giving you the lesson. You're not always the giver or always the taker. Sometimes it's just the dynamic of how everything plays out. And, you know, when I looked at Elvis, like, you know, what was his reason for this life? What did this show him? I got that, you know, he had fame, he had glory, he had all this stuff, but when he was little, he had a real sense of this abandonment, this very odd disconnect because his brothers were taken away from him. Luckily for him, they were able to be a part of his life, but there was still this odd dynamic of something being missing because of the way that they were raised, and it was so different. Yes, he kind of worked past it, but it was still an issue that he had to fight through and learn and understand. And the other two brothers, the triplets of the triplets, I got that they had to really fight through a lot of emotions of jealousy. They were talented too, but Elvis got the attention. Even when they filled in for him, they had to pretend they were Elvis. So there was something to be said for feeling like you're in your brother's shadow. And even though they didn't necessarily take it out on him, it still was something that they had to work through. That was part of their life lesson, part of their life path to do that. And Franklin, when I look at him, he felt like he had a lot of hurt and anger that he kept to himself. And he wasn't really good at communicating. He was brilliant. He was compassionate, kind. You know, he had a lot of wonderful qualities, but things that bothered him, he never really expressed. And he didn't know how to work through issues. And more importantly, you know, that was part of Franklin's lesson that he had to work through. But the gift that he provided was that he really gave Elvis that awakening moment. Almost truly saved his life. So that, as horrible as it was in some ways a gift, because Elvis could have taken a very different path had things not played out the way that they did. And, you know, in closing, these boys are all loving and close, and, you know, Franklin's death was very difficult and hard, but it created a needed awakening, I guess, if you can look at the balance of all of this. And in the end, I mean, it ended up, everything ended up the way that it needed to end up. And this truly is a very unique and cool story. And this is really all I have for this reading. I want to thank you for listening to my video. Please feel free to leave a comment. If you'd like to check me out on Patreon, I would be very humbled for you to do that. I'm doing something really cool on Patreon. I'm excited. I'll just go ahead and tell you. Once a week, what I want to do is release a video and a blog that's just for my patrons as a way to say thank you. Thank you for checking me out. Yeah, thank you. I mean, even $1 helps. So I'm just really grateful and humbled that if you would, you know, look at my channel and like it and, you know, donate $1 a month, that would be awesome. So anyway, I'll leave you with that. Again, this is Lynn with Psychic Focus at psychicfocus.blogspot.com. Thanks. Bye.